Hi, this is Annette and welcome to my educational video series about equine photography. Today I would like to show you of how to set up your camera so that you get the best action shot. Many times I have people approach me during horse events and ask me how my camera is set up for fast moving objects or horses that jump obstacles. They go home often and find out that the images are blurry or the horse is out of focus. So I usually share with them my 3 or 4 easy settings. So they do work great for any sports photography. If, let's say, your son plays soccer or your daughter plays softball, you can really use it for any fast moving objects. They're pretty universal. I do have a Canon, but they work very similar for Nikon as well. And follow me, I will take you behind this camera and show you really quick and easy of what you can do to improve your sharpness and cleanliness of your image. And I will save you reading this boring manual, so you have to figure it out yourself. So let's get started. So for this presentation, I'm using my Canon Rebel T5i, which is a pretty regular, nowadays affordable DSLR camera, which is something similar you guys might have at home. So you can just follow along. First thing first, the most important thing you want to change is your auto settings. Unfortunately, auto on this camera is just like driving your Ferrari in 3rd speed, and you just don't get the full potential out of the camera. So you want to first adjust the shutter speed, which basically controls of how much blur is in your photo, and you basically slowing down the action and you actually freeze the moving object. So the first thing you want to do is set your camera to TV, which stands for time value, and this controls the shutter speed. So when you set your camera on TV, you have this little screen pop up, and you see right here those arrows. Right now this camera is set on a shutter speed of 1/640. A good rule of thumb for action sports is to start at 1000. So you do use that little dial up front, and you can change the shutter speed up to 1000. If you do take photos and you still see your images being blurry, you can obviously bump it up to 1250, but this should be taken care of a lot of blur already in your photo. 1250 is pretty high, so we'll start with that. We leave it at 1250. So this is the very first setting you want to adjust. So after we adjusted our shutter, we now want to adjust our autofocus. So you toggle around your back screen to get to where it says one shot. We want to adjust that. One shot is really more for like still objects. So we want to move it to Alt Servo, because Alt Servo keeps tracking moving objects and also will autofocus as the object changes distances. So it's very important that you do set your camera to Alt Servo. Alright, so now it's time to change our shooting mode, meaning of how many frames or images per second the camera can take. Right now this camera is, as you can see, set to a single shooting, meaning it only takes one photo as you press down the shutter. We want to have continuous shooting, meaning the camera, depending on the camera you have, can take between 3 to 6 images a second as you press down the shutter. So this is obviously very important as you do action photography. And just imagine having a horse jump an obstacle. You do get quite a few images, and most likely you will catch the horse as it jumps over the obstacle. So make sure you do have your camera set on continuous shooting. So that wasn't too hard. I hope you're still with me. There's one more setting that I think it's very important that you know of, or that you actually use. It's called the back button focus, and it always works for me. It does really sound more complicated than it is. So basically, when you take your camera and you focus on a moving object and you press halfway the shutter button, you kind of hear the camera focuses, and then you take the shot. Basically, with the back button focus, what you do is you're moving away this focus and assigning it to a different button. So basically you just press a shutter and you focus with another button. This would save you milliseconds or seconds, and it's very important as you do action or sports photography. And I show you how I set it up on this camera. It's really not as complicated. However, with the Nikon, you probably want to look it up in your manual and look up the back button focus. So in order to change the focus button from the top button back to the back of the camera, you actually go under the menu item right here, the menu icon, and you have different photos coming up. So you basically toggle around to the tool icon until you get this screen and you see custom functions. So in most of the cameras it will be under custom functions, and you go under custom functions, select custom functions, and you want to change the AF/AE, which stands for autofocus auto exposure lock, to number 1. So read it up in your manual of what button is for what. It should be pretty simple to find out. So on a Canon, on this particular camera, if you go on 1, it will change the focus button to the button where the star is right here. And then you just click set and you should be all good to go. So from now on, every time you press the shutter, it takes right away a photo, and you focus with this button right here. So as you take the shot, you focus with this button, and then you press the shutter and take the photo. So it's kind of something that you want to get used to probably. If you do it quite often, it's really simple to get used of, but you would save seconds, and it will help you to get the great shot. So I hope this little tutorial was very helpful for you. I would love to hear your feedback of how and see how those settings work for you. For me, those settings are absolutely necessary, especially when I take action shots, horses jumping or showing. Please follow me on Facebook and Instagram to stay tuned and to see what I'm up to. You can find me under Create Memories by Annette. And stay tuned for more educational videos about equine photography. And I hope to see you out there. Take care.